Welcome to our final English lesson of the week for Friday, the 8th of January. Again, we're just going to be continuing our journey on Stella by Starlight. Let's have a look at what our learning is going to be about today. We're going to try and engage our audience using effective language choices. So we'd like you to understand a variety of key vocabulary and their meanings. We want you to consider the mood and the tone of context for writing. Choose appropriate and specific vocabulary for different mood and tone, and use a range of sentence structures to create cohesion. Today we're going to write 2 paragraphs for a setting description. So we're going to provide you with what's called a vocabulary pyramid, and we'd like you to use all of the words in that pyramid, please. Your first paragraph should be related to one setting from the book, and your second paragraph should be a contrasting setting. So, for example, if you are doing your first paragraph by the lake, your second paragraph should be set somewhere else, like in Stella's house or another part of the book that we know so far. You try not to use all of the words from the vocab pyramid in just one paragraph, please. Try and distribute them evenly across your 2 paragraphs. So let's have a little look at the words that I'm going to use in the vocab pyramid. So in the box on the right hand side, you can see at the top there we've got the word tree. Then underneath that you've got lake and house. And then the third line down you've got nervous, midnight and subtle. You don't pronounce that B. Then on the bottom line, you've got desolate, luminous, courage, and KKK. Now, there are a few words in there that we might not know the definition of immediately. So what I would suggest is that you pause the video now and go and look up online the definitions for the words subtle, desolate, and luminous. Please don't go any further until you've researched the definition of those words. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of my setting description for paragraph number 1, just so that you've got an idea of the sort of thing that we're after. I've said 9 faceless figures of the KKK dressed all in white. Peaked hoods hid their faces in mystery. Against the midnight sky, dotted with starlight, a single wooden cross stood ablaze. The usual serenity of the lake was splattered with flickers of raging reds and oranges. Tall black trees stood guard against the luminous moon, as the luminous moon buried itself in a cloud, like a scared child under its blanket. Echoing across the pond towards 2 innocent ears, nervous whinnies of frightened horses met with the crackle of wood fire. Stella stood still, terrified, alarmed. She silently wished she had never crept out after her brother. Now you can see in that paragraph we've highlighted certain words in yellow, and they're the words that appear up here in the vocab pyramid. There's KKK, there's midnight, the word lake is here. I've changed tree slightly into trees, plural, and the last one was luminous, included here. So that leaves me, if I was going to write my second paragraph, the words house, nervous, subtle, desolate, and courage. So I'd need to try and work out how I was going to fit those into my second paragraph. But before we talk any more about your second paragraph, let's continue with looking at the first one. Because although we've put the words in there, there's more in this paragraph that we need to spot. So let's have a look and reread the paragraph and think about what other writing features are included within the paragraph that we've got here. Well, I can see immediately I've got a dash here and a dash here, and they're providing us with some parentheses. And that is telling us there's a single wooden cross which is on fire. It says it stood ablaze. It's on fire, and we can see that that's burning against the midnight sky. Now that parenthesis, dotted with starlight, is talking more about the sky over here. It's adding extra information about the sky. So we've used dashes there for parenthesis. And we've also got in that same sentence, against the midnight sky, an expanded noun phrase. Because we could have just said against the sky, but we've extended that slightly by using the word midnight sky to make an expanded noun phrase. We've also done something here with the word stood. Can you think about what that job is doing, what job that word is doing, in that sentence? I've got a single wooden cross stood ablaze. Well, that's providing that cross with some personification, because on its own, it can't actually stand. It's a human action. But we say something like something that's buried in the ground is standing upright because it looks like the action of a person standing. We've also got some further features in the paragraph if you want to have a little continue reading through and have a little go at spotting what you can see. Because one of our steps to success was about using different sentence structures. And the one that we've already picked out there has got a sentence with parenthesis in, and then straight after it, we've got this here, a semicolon. And that then does something. That semicolon does another job, and it will be related to this sentence that follows. Just think about what job that semicolon is doing. Well, the semicolon is joining two closely related main clauses together. So the first main clause is against the midnight sky, a single wooden cross stood ablaze. I know we've got parenthesis in there adding more information, but the main clause is against the midnight sky, a single wooden cross stood ablaze. Your next main clause is the usual serenity of the lake was splattered with flickers of raging reds and oranges. And that semicolon's job is to link both of those things together, because it is the burning cross which has broken the serenity of that lake. So those two main clauses are closely related. Have a look through the rest of the paragraph. Is there anything else that you can spot? Let's have a look at this sentence here. Like a scared child under its blanket. Can you think of what that might be called? Well, here we have a simile because we're talking about this luminous moon here. And it's saying it's buried itself under the cloud. Well, buried itself, it's personification as well, because the moon can't physically bury itself. It's just a cloud has just appeared in front of it. But with the tone of the paragraph, that's the image and that's the sense that we're getting, that it's trying to hide itself from what it can see down on Earth. Now, that moon, although it's buried itself and used that personification, we are now using a simile to compare what that that the way it's burying itself, what we're comparing it to something that we know quite well. So we've all been in a situation where we've been a little bit scared and maybe ducked behind the sofa, hidden behind a parent, or we might have just covered our heads over with a blanket when we're a little bit scared at night. So it's comparing that moon hiding with a child. There are some further features within there. And for example, I won't point them all out, but we've got here a dash to provide some emphasis with this word terrified. Stella stood still, terrified. It really underlines how she's feeling. And then right next to it, we've got a short sentence, just a single word sentence, the word alarmed. And again, it really hammers home that point about how Stella is feeling. So we'd like you to have a go at writing your own paragraphs now, and you can use that model for some inspiration, but please try not to copy it. There are the same 10 words in that vocab pyramid, and they're on the screen for you to see. And we would like you to try and include all 10 words in 2 paragraphs. Remember, your settings need to be different from paragraph 1 to paragraph 2. So my first paragraph was around the lake. My second paragraph would need to be somewhere else. Now, if when you've finished, would you be able to ask somebody to take a photograph of your writing and email it into us at school, please? All the adults should have our school email address, the year 6 at elaine.medway.sch.uk, so that we can have a look at some of your work and get an idea of what sort of writing that you guys are producing. Finally, after you've done your writing, here's a reflection question for you. So we're thinking about how the language you've used impacts the reader. So there are 2 sentences there because you've written 2 different paragraphs. And we'd like you to think about the language that you've used in paragraph 1, and what sort of tone that's created. And can you give us an example of the words that you have used in order to create that tone? And in your second paragraph, you should have a completely different setting description, and it might be that that mood has completely changed, that tone has completely changed in that second paragraph because the setting has changed. So again, can you pick out examples within that paragraph that create that mood and that tone, and tell us what impact that has on the reader? And again, just to reiterate what we always say in school, please don't use the example that it makes your writing more interesting to read, because that is not the explanation that we're after. We're trying to think about how it makes that reader feel. Good luck, and this is your last English lesson for the week, so enjoy your weekends, and we look forward to seeing you either again on the Zooms on Monday or in class if some of your children are going to be appearing back in school. Have a lovely weekend.